Welcome back to AfriFreedomChannel, your home for bold and uncompromising analysis on Africa's most urgent political, economic, and social issues. Disclaimer. This video is intended for educational and informational purposes only. In a world where African leadership is often synonymous with self-enrichment and betrayal of public trust, one Southern African nation is quietly breaking away from the mold. The president of Botswana, Mokgweetsi Masisi, has taken a bold step that mirrors the revolutionary ethos of Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso.
And I have said, I want to change this country spectacularly in 3 years. So I don't have 10 years. I don't have 5 years. I don't have 6 months to decide whether or not and go to court. No, I don't have that time. People, yourselves, need accommodation. And if I'm going to submit myself to a process that will take me 10 years to deliver accommodation to you, then I would have failed you, and failed you spectacularly. So what do? We need to ensure that there's transparency, there's openness, there's accountability in each and every process that we undertake. No doubt, that is not negotiable. And that there is no corruption. And so people say, when you acknowledge a failed system, and you say, whatever we do, we must not do this one. He say he's trying to give tenders to his relatives. I want you to know my relatives. Just check. You'll know them. You need to know them so that you can track whether any one of my relatives has any tender. You need to ascertain. You need to be sure about these things. So that when these allegations are flung about, because one is seeking to move from an entrenched system of corruption to something that offers us some redemption, yet you are able to interrogate the allegations. And we must interrogate the allegations together. And so it's going to be very critical for us to find ways of moving away from this corrupt system and engaging in a different one that we can monitor and track, one that delivers results timeously, within budget, no corruption. And so we need to look for the best practices. And that we will do. If there's anything that I'm not afraid to do, it is to take decisive measures, even in the face of opposition and hostility. If it has to be done, it is good for the country, it is good for the people, I will do it. Make no mistake about it. I declare this, and I declare it publicly, so that it is known, so that when you gauge and you assess, you understand how I approach these matters. And with me, I'm always open to engagement. You disagree with me? Let's talk. You tell me, I think you're getting it wrong here. And I'll listen to you. And if I realize you are correct, I will say it to you, but not just to you. I'll also say it publicly. I've been advised by my friend or my colleague that this approach is wrong. I have reassessed. I have come to the conclusion that it is actually wrong, and we self-correct. That's how you operate. Because we are all frail and fallible. This is the concept of bofokoti. This is what it means. When you say that, it means you appreciate your own frailties, your own brokenness. You're broken and fissured yourself. And so when others come and they approach you with a different perspective, you pay attention. And when you realize they are correct, you heed what they say. This is how you operate in a sane and sober environment. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what position you occupy. It's called humility. Just the ability to acknowledge that I may be wrong. Even when you think you've got it right 100%, you may actually be 100% wrong. And when somebody challenges you, if you think you are right and you believe in the correctness of your proposition, then it becomes an opportunity for you to persuade them, to win them over, or be won over to their side. And so I don't understand why sometimes there's conflict. When we engage on any issue, and you know, you assess. That's why you do recon. You collect data. You assess it critically. You examine it from different perspectives. And then you take a decision. But if you go out there, rumor and gossip gets people so excited. Even some who call themselves analysts. You look at what they are trying to say. There's no analysis. But you, by virtue of your profession, your training, are analysts. Because you deal only in facts. And you take decisions based on accurate information. Not speculation, not rumor, not gossip, not pettiness, not frivolity, not absurdity. That's your job. And you need to demonstrate these capabilities because you have them. And so it's important for us to understand these issues. And I commit here and now and going forward to working with you to build the Botswana Defense Force so that it truly provides for security, accountability, and meritocracy. That your actions on and off duty reflect our respect for human rights and the rule of law. Let us build a force, a defense force, that is not only formidable in capability, but one that is also exemplary in character. And if we do this, we will ensure that the Botswana Defense Force remains a pillar of peace, security, and progress for generations to come. I also would like to urge, there are many programs that we are trying to develop on the trot. One of them is a housing program called Bonno Housing Scheme. The bold ambition of this program is to ensure home ownership. That no person in this country be without a decent house. And I've seen how many of our people retire into penury, into poverty. And there's a structural explanation for this. And I've said before, We have operated a low-wage economy across for a very long time, such that a person who earns 20,000 belongs in the top 1% of high-income earners in this country. 20,000. And so you can imagine, if you slide all the way down, what it means for the everyday experience of our people. This should be a source of grave concern for all of us, especially for government. We need to be very concerned about this. And so when we complain, with good reason, we need to understand that we are dealing with a structural problem. And so we must face up to it and address it structurally. So this housing scheme is an attempt to place immovable property in the hands of citizens, as many of them as we possibly can. And the ambition is to build 100,000 of these houses in the next 3 years. I've said 3. The minister says he wants to do it in 2 years. And so this program is being rolled out in every constituency. The minimum is 1,000 houses. And so wherever you come from, you are entitled, if you have a piece of land that you've not been able to develop because of the challenges that we all face, you now can, for a very reasonable amount per month, at least put up some decent shelter. The idea is to ensure our citizens have decent accommodation. But we'll also engage in other programs that seek to deliberately transfer wealth, claw it back from where it is, and place it in the hands of the most ordinary of our citizens. It is an obligation. Government has to do this if it is a government of the people, for them and by them. We are also in the process of finalizing the development of a comprehensive national security strategy for this country in order to enhance our security ecosystem. This strategy will provide us with a framework to respond to both external and internal threats, to fashion effective and sagacious, far-sighted security policies, and allocate resources in a manner that strengthens our national resilience. And it will also lead to role clarity in our security environment. And so I call upon all of you, as the custodians of our peace and stability, to provide your insights, your experience and your wisdom in order to shape this strategy and ensure that it reflects our national values, responds to emerging security challenges, and that it upholds our sovereignty and our territorial integrity in this ever-changing security environment. I am aware that one of the most significant obstacles to developing an effective national security strategy is a lack of consensus, common ground and vision on our national security priorities. This has led to a national security strategy being reactive as opposed to being proactive. In some countries, and indeed maybe in ours as well, defense budgets have been drastically reduced to address other competing priorities and national requirements. But we must appreciate that if we go too far down that road, we stand to suffer immensely in times of need. And so we must position ourselves to be ever ready, properly resourced, having honed and refined our strategic capabilities. And so we must take our cue from what is happening in the region and understand that we must prepare ourselves well in advance, in anticipation, so that we do not wait for tragedy to befall us and then begin to prepare under pressure of calamity. Esteemed senior officers, Botswana's participation in peacekeeping missions stands as an abiding testament to our unwavering commitment to regional stability, unity, and shared progress. Through these missions, we did not only help restore peace in conflict-affected areas, but we also strengthened bonds of friendship with our neighbors. We fostered mutual trust and regional interdependence. Our involvement promotes collective security, it enhances our diplomatic influence, and it reinforces Botswana's role.
In a rare move of integrity and solidarity with the working class, President Masisi has slashed politicians' salaries while increasing workers' wages, a direct attempt to correct the long-standing imbalance between the ruling elite and the struggling masses. Ask yourself how many African presidents are willing to reduce their own pay in favor of uplifting civil servants, teachers, nurses, and local workers. When leadership begins to sacrifice for the people, does that not signal a shift toward true patriotism and accountability? Could this be the beginning of a new leadership model for Africa, one rooted in service, humility, and justice? Botswana, though not often in the headlines, is now making history. The decision to redirect wealth from the powerful few to the backbone of the country sends a clear message: it is possible to run an African nation with integrity and vision. So we must ask, why do so many African governments resist this kind of justice? Why is it so hard to cut bloated political budgets while teachers go unpaid and hospitals lack basic equipment? If Botswana can do it, what exactly is stopping the others? Now let's shift to a profound truth voiced by Zimbabwean-born thinker and theologian Joshua Maponga, who once declared, "Any man who sells his land, sells the future of his children."
Joshua Maponga, just of recent, said, "Any man who sells his land, sells the future of his children. And I think he was right.
I think he was right.
Yes. I don't know how I missed to meet this man when I visited Zimbabwe.
Okay.
But I will speak to Honorable Kandisha, Traoré Kandisha, about meeting him. And if I meet him, we will discuss more about African matters.
African matters?
Yes.
With Joshua?
Yes, with Joshua Maponga.
I think he's a great man doing good.
Yes, even me, I think so.
Okay.
This isn't just poetic wisdom. It's a devastating indictment of the land dispossession, exploitation, and short-termism that continues to plague many African nations. From mining concessions signed in secrecy to farmland leased to foreign entities for generations, we are witnessing a continent systematically selling its soul. And here's the sobering reality: every time land is sold to foreign investors without accountability, we mortgage our sovereignty. Every hectare lost to profit-driven interests is a piece of tomorrow stolen from our children. So we must reflect: what kind of legacy are we leaving behind? Are our leaders guardians of the land or auctioneers of our collective future? When a nation can no longer feed itself, control its resources, or protect its soil, can it still call itself free? Why are we not rising in outrage when ancestral lands are exchanged for temporary gain? Where is the public scrutiny when billion-dollar deals are signed in silence? Shouldn't we, as citizens, demand a say in how our land, the root of our identity, is managed and protected? What's most painful is that many of these decisions are made in the name of development, yet the people rarely see the benefits. The forests are cleared, the minerals are extracted, and the rivers polluted, while communities remain in poverty. These two powerful examples, one of courageous leadership in Botswana, and another of moral truth from Joshua Maponga, challenge us to rethink the future we are building. Africa does not lack resources. It lacks leaders willing to sacrifice comfort for justice, and citizens emboldened enough to demand it. So we leave you with this question: what kind of Africa do you want your children to inherit, and what are you doing today to make that vision possible? Let us know in the comments. Your voice matters. Your future depends on it. Until next time, remember, true power is when you serve your people, not when you exploit them.